Thank you. All right, so it seems like when we start these meetings, it's like the first 30 minutes is just informational, right? It's because we don't get together that often, and we record it, so there's a lot of really good information that comes out here. Carrie, that was great information. Good talking points, right? And we all need talking points about real estate. When subject of real estate comes up, if you can have current information that you are the professional in your field. So, all right, with that said, let's get it right into today's topic. So we have been concentrating on ninja selling in the book and Larry Kendall, and we've talked about 10-step buyer and 16-step seller, and we've talked about building your database, and we did a class on the 5 daily habits, and then we did 2 more classes on the weekly habits, and then we did one class that recapped all 9 habits, and we have the 9 habits on the board. We have rules of the game up here, words to live by, mastery. We've talked about all of these things, and we put all these things together. And I think, yes? That somebody needed something?
I think she just came off.
Sorry, that was my dogs. I didn't realize I didn't have it muted.
No, it's okay. Hey, puppy dog. All right, so what I think we're lacking is how to have a conversation with a seller or with a buyer or with a client or with a stranger or with anybody. We talk about those 50 live interviews using Ford, right? Friends, occupation, recreation, and dreams. We talk about that. And of course, you're not going to do all 4 of them with one person, right? But I want to go into, and that's what we're going to dive into today, is how to ask a question, listen for an answer, and then how to dig deeper with further questions. Because I think what's happening is that we think this solves the problem. We think, here's what we think. Hey, how's the family? Man, they're great. All right, cool. And we stop. And that is not what this is about. What this is about is really getting a deeper understanding about the person you're there with. If you were out on a date for the very first time and you ask a question and they give a yes or no answer, that'd be a very boring date, right? You're just like probably not going to go on that date again. But that's not what we do. We get genuinely curious about somebody that we're out with and genuinely want to know more about that person. And the way we do that is to ask them questions, get them to answer those questions, and then do follow-up questions to dig deeper. You'll find that when you ask that first question, your next question will be embedded in their answer, right? And we need to develop this skill, right, in order to make sure that we find pain and pleasure points in the people around us, find out what their issues are so that we can solve those problems for them. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So if we go in here, first question is family question, right? That's the F, right? How's everything going with your family? Now, some possible answers you'll get. Good, we've been busy with the kids' activities, right? They're going to tell you about their life. Or we're thinking about having another kid soon, right? Or, well, it's funny you should ask. Wife's pregnant, right? Funny you should ask. My husband's pregnant. I mean, you might get both those answers. Then my parents are thinking about moving closer to us, right? All of these are possible answers that you could get, right? And some possible responses, right? These are our follow-up questions. If they say those things, the first one, talking about kids, oh, are your kids involved in a lot of sports activities? How's the space at home working out for that? If they're running out of space, they might be open to moving or upsizing, right? So I just took that very simple question that they asked, and I dug, and that answer, and I dug deeper. And the reason I was asked that question is because they might need a bigger house. They're into a lot of sports, and they've got a little bitty backyard, and they got a kid that's playing soccer and wants to play soccer. Maybe, right? With another child on the way, do you think you'll need more space in the house? How's that looking for you? Not anything, not talking about selling a house. This subtlety leads to discussing whether their current home can support an expanding family, right? That's why we're asking these questions. And then that's great. Are you helping them look at homes in the area? This is the last question on the last slide about family. Go back one slide. Right? Said, my parents are thinking about moving to be closer to us. How many times have you guys heard that? I've got a buyer right now that is going to buy a second house here in the area, because he wants to be closer to the grandchildren more often, right? So that's great. Are you helping them look for homes in the area? Do you think they'll want to live close by? I mean, that's just a simple question. It's nothing new, but that opens up. Can anybody see how this all opens up to a possible real estate need? Now, that doesn't mean every single person you talk to, okay, is going to have a real estate need. Statistically, how many people in your database are going to need a real estate move in the next year? We've talked about this. How many? Say it. 20%, right? About 20%, right? So we know that out of your database, 20% of your people should be on what list? What list is the people that want to move in the next 12 months? They may or may not know it. What list is that? It's your warm list, right? Your hot list is people that need to move right now, right? Right? My parents are moving in with us. That's a hot list. That's a hot list. All right, because they need more space. All right, occupation questions. Real simple. How's work going for you lately? How's work going? I mean, we ask that all the time. Hey, man, how's work? Right? Possibly. It's been good. I've been traveling a lot. Or we've been remote since last year, and I'm still getting used to it. How many times everybody in here's heard that? Everybody in here's heard that from somebody they know. Man, I don't know, but I've been working remote, and I'm having to work from the kitchen table, and, I mean, just crazy. And then I'm thinking about switching careers. I'm thinking about just hanging this thing up. How many people heard that from real estate agents? Right? Just saying. All right. Traveling sounds great. Sounds exciting. Do you find that the balancing home life with all the travel is manageable? Why would you ask that question? It can lead to discussing if they need a better located home or one closer to family to help their schedule. I had a client that moved from here to Charlottesville. Anybody have any? No, Charlotte. Moved from here to Charlotte. Anybody know why they moved to Charlotte? Think about it. His job required him to travel all over the country, and he wanted more. He wanted to be closer to an airport with more direct flights. Right? So that is a great thing to think about. So this guy, he's in the $1 Million Mile Club with Delta. So, he flies weekly. And he was tired of having to fly and get a stop like Norfolk to Charlotte to get somewhere else. He said, to hell with it. He moved closer to Charlotte. Now all his flights are direct and he's got more time in his life. Are you liking the remote setup? Does your home have enough space for a dedicated office? It's a simple question, right? Man, how's that working out? Where do you work at in your home? Oh man, I'm working at my kitchen table. Really? How does that work? I don't know, man. I put everything in a box and clean up for the dinner. Love to have a dedicated space. Your house doesn't have that? No. Is that something that you'd be interested in? I mean, you see how that works, right? And then that's a big step. Do you think a job change would impact where you live? I mean, that's a legit question. And none of these questions are, hey, you need to buy a house and sell me a house and I'll sell you a house. None of them are like that. We're just trying to find out what's going on in their lives, what's going on with this person, pain and pleasure points, problems that we can solve, right? Because that's what we do. We are problem solvers, right? We don't sell, we solve. All right. Recreation questions, right? Me and Craig were talking the other day, and I really had to think about this, right? What do you like to do for fun around here? Possible answers. We've been spending more time outdoors lately. We love local restaurants and entertainment spots. We've been considering getting a vacation home for weekend getaways. Let's look at this first one. We've been spending more time outdoors. Can anybody think of a response of what your follow-up question might be for if they said that? Just think about it in your head. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have enough yard space?
Yeah. Do you have enough yard space for what you guys are doing now, right? Do you want to be closer to outdoor activities? I mean, any of those questions. Think about it in your head. Think about possible responses. We love local restaurants, entertainment spots, right? Think about that. Think about where they currently live, right? Or if they were to say that, maybe I would say something like that. Oh, do you live within walking distance of that kind of stuff? They would be like, no, but that would be cool. I mean, especially if they do that stuff, right? Next one. All right. Follow-up questions. That's awesome. Are there any outdoor activities or spaces you wish you had closer to your home? Right? So we talked about moving those activities closer to their home, which in reality is meaning finding a house closer to that because you're not going to move a venue, right? Just get some thinking. Remember, How does the process work? They are curious, then they have interest, then they have commitment. What you're doing there is you're creating curiosity of, oh, what would that look like? The magic wand question, right? All right, do you feel like you're in the right area to take advantage of the entertainment here, or would you prefer being closer to the action? Simple question. Finds out what their true desires are. They might say, no, we're good. We drive to them, and that's fine, right? But you may find, but again, not everybody's going to have a yes. Doesn't matter. 20% will. All right, and then where are you thinking of getting a vacation home? Have you started looking at any areas yet? Why is it important? If they're going to get a vacation home, it's probably not going to be in your market, right? But why is it important to find that out? Referral fees, right? I can really, if they, we're thinking about looking down in North Carolina. Hey, look, why don't I've got some people down there that I know that do a really good job down in the Outer Banks. Why don't I get you in touch with them and kind of give you some information on the market? You don't have to buy. No, we're not really. You don't have to buy right now, but it never hurts to look. Creating curiosity, which will pique interest, which will then eventually lead to commitment. Okay, that's called creating a buyer. Dreams and future plans, right? Do you have any big plans coming up in the next year or two? That's a pretty open-ended question, just getting to know about somebody, right? We're hoping to retire soon. We're thinking about moving to a quieter area, right? I've always wanted to live near the beach. When you get ready to retire, moving is generally on the top of the list. Some people are like, no, I'm fine where I'm at, but take the guy that I told you about earlier that moved to Charlotte to fly around. When he gets ready to retire, do you think he still wants to live in Charlotte? Maybe, but more than likely he's going to want to move out of there because he moved there for a very specific reason. And he makes a lot of money. I mean, he makes like $400,000 or $500,000 a year. So when he retires, I don't think he's going to want to be around Charlotte much anymore. Retirement, moving to a quieter area sounds great. Are you thinking of staying close by or relocating completely? Referral, where I can help you find a house. Pretty easy follow-up questions. Next. That's exciting. Have you been looking at homes by the beach? Are you still in planning phase? Are you looking at the mountains? Man, what does that look like? And that's where I like to ask on questions like this. Man, if you could wave a magic wand, what does that house look like? What does that place look like that you're moving to? What does that area look like? What does that neighborhood look like? Because people move on their whys, not their needs or wants, believe it or not. They move on their whys. The guy moving to Charlotte, why he moved to Charlotte was so he could have more time back in his life so he wouldn't have to fly that extra leg on a flight. He didn't want to move there to be closer to the airport. He had a why. The why was he wanted more time in his life. Not that he wanted to be closer to an airport. He wanted more time in his life. Because if he was moving on being closer to an airport, maybe he could have turned all these meetings into Zoom, and then he could have stayed right where he was, right? So it's not a want, it's a why. Why he wanted more time in his life. And somebody has a why, you just figure out how to solve that why for him. How do you like your current neighborhood? It's nice. Okay, so this is a bonus question. This is just a bonus question, right? This isn't part of the Ford, but it's a bonus question. Community and neighborhood questions. Hey, how do you like your current neighborhood? Hey, how do you like where you live? That's an easy question, right? Where do you live? Oh, I live over in Kempsville. Oh, how do you like it over there? How's that area? How easy is that of a question? It's not intrusive, right? It's nice, but when thinking about something different, we love it, but it's getting a little crowded, right? The one I love. Man, it ain't what it was when we moved in. It's great, but we're thinking about upgrading soon. All you're doing is, in this question, is bringing to the surface something they are already thinking about. You just brought it up to the surface so that you guys can now have a discussion about it. Because they all know 12 agents, right? Who are they going to use or who are they going to refer? The last one they talk to about it, right? More than likely, because they don't have anything against all 12 agents. They might like them, but they're probably going to use a person that they refer to. All right, what kind of change are you thinking about? A new area or a different type of home? You dispatch for other thoughts on moving, locations, upgrading, new construction, downsizing, whatever the case may be. Oh, crowded neighborhoods can be tough. Have you thought about moving somewhere more spacious? What does that look like? Do you want to be out in Pungo, out in the middle of nowhere? Are you looking for acreage? Questions. And let them talk 70% of the time. Questions. Questions identify problems. Problems then where you can come up with a solution and present your solution. That's the whole model. We're not And we should not be doing the old school 3-step, right? Old school 3-step, Glenn Close, right? Right? 3-step model. Always be closing, right? Make a connection with the person, pitch your sales, close that deal. Not what we should be doing, right? We should make a connection with the person and then be curious about what's going on in their life, genuinely curious about what's going on in their life, finding out and listening for pain and pleasure points and or problems that you can solve, presenting a solution and not being tied to the outcome of that solution. Because the solution may be for them to rent, and that doesn't involve you necessarily, right? Doesn't involve a commission anyways, a very small one, cover your gas, but that's okay because we're here to provide a service, and that service isn't I need to get a check out of this person. The service is I need to take care of these people, whatever that means. That makes sense? So important. All right, what kind of upgrade are you thinking about? More space, better amenities? You want a condo? What are you looking for, right? What's important to you? Why are you looking for something bigger? Why are you looking to move? Why is that important to you? Depends upon whether they're looking to buy longer or larger or more luxurious home or downsize, whatever the case may be. So that's how these conversations should go. That's how these 50 interviews that we talk about that you should be doing on a weekly basis, that includes your service calls, that includes your when you're setting and you're doing a real estate review with a client, this is how these conversations go. Ask a question, dig deeper. Ask a question, dig deeper. They give you an answer, dig deeper. Give you an answer, dig deeper. Give you an answer, dig deeper. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow them to talk about themselves and their life. And majority of people love doing that. And sometimes when you're asking these questions, you're going to find out that they may not know they have a real estate need coming up in the next 12 months, but you do. And it doesn't mean you need to say it to them, but you need to put them where? On your warm list. On your warm list. All right. So ask questions in a conversational and less direct way is crucial for several reasons, right? And here's why. Establishes trust and rapport, right? When you begin a conversation and, with open, light questions, right? It not only lets you know what's going on in their life, but it also helps you find common ground with this person, right? If you have a similar past occupation, if you have something coming up in the future, if you both have same recreational things, if you're both having same family things going on. Oh yeah, my wife's pregnant too, blah, 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 whatever the case may be, it helps you do that rapport. So you ask, how's everything going with your family? You're not immediately focused on housing or real estate. This allows a person to relax and feel like they're talking to a friend rather than someone making a sell. And they are talking to a friend. But the problem is, and I saw a TikTok on this the other day, where a guy says, you think your real estate agent is your friend? Call him and ask him to go out to lunch and watch him say no. And then at the end of the conversation, well, I was really thinking about listing my house, and he'll be at your doorstep before the phone's hung up. And we see that a lot, right? We see that a lot, that the only reason we're staying in touch with people around us is so that we can sell them a house. And that's kind of true, but that shouldn't be the whole reason, right? I mean, if you have somebody in your database and you're like, oh, I got to call them and have a forward conversation. What do you think you should do with that person in your database? Take them out, right? Because we want to spend time in our lives, life's too short, we want to spend time in our lives with people who mean something to us, people who bring positive things into our lives, and not just the sale of a house, but the enjoyment of having a conversation, breaking bread with someone, right? That's kind of the thing that I have in my database. If it's not somebody I want to break bread with, I just don't want to call them. I just don't want to do it because life's too short. I just don't do it. That's what. Natural flow of conversation. When I'm just talking to you about your family or your work or all that stuff, it's just a natural conversation, right? Because we all are curious about what's going on with other people. We all have those things in common. And when we find common ground, like recreation, got any big plans coming up this soon? Yeah, we're going to the baseball game. Oh, who's your favorite baseball team? And now you have this whole conversation about baseball because you both like baseball or football or racquetball. Fishing, or whatever the case may be. When you find common ground with someone, you strengthen that bond between you and that friend, and you become closer to them, and you become more entangled in their life, which is a good thing, right? And you get to know more about each other, and and then it can work the other way. You can find out you have nothing in common with a person, right? But you have these natural conversations because this Ford thing is not just unique to Larry Kendall. This is something everybody uses in everyday life. Whether they know it or not, in a normal conversation, you ask people about their family. You ask people about their job. You ask people about their hobbies and things that you're doing, right? And you get a little bit deeper relationship. You start to ask about what their plans are for the next couple of years. So it's just a natural conversation. Uncover subtle information. Now, this is where the magic really happens, right? This subtle information part. When you ask open-ended questions, non-direct questions, they tend to reveal more about their life without even realizing it. And that's why I have said several times, when you're asking these questions and you're doing this the right way and you're digging deeper and you're letting them talk 70% of the time, you will understand that they have a possible real estate need coming up in the next 12 months before they do, right? They haven't even thought about the fact that when their kid moves away from college, that house is going to be a big old giant empty thing with big old electric bills and gas bills and pools, and they don't even use a pool anymore. I don't even know why we have a pool. We had it for the kids. They grew up in the pool. They were in every day. I haven't been in the pool since we had it. I've heard that 1,000 times. They're not even thinking about that when that kid leaves and goes to college, that they're going to need to downsize. But you're asking these questions and they're revealing those things. It's okay, you don't say anything. Put them on a warm list. Make sure you're staying following up with them in the next 12 months. Make sure you maybe send them a card. Hey, congratulations on your kid going to college and getting into whatever college, right? See, when we start to know people at a much deeper personal level and we know what's going on in their lives and we know that they have kids and we know what college their kids are going to, you have a friend, right? You really do. And that's really what this is all about. All right, non-pushy way to gauge real estate needs. Hey, man. Gray, you need to buy a house next year, maybe? You looking at moving? I mean, I can help you with that. Really, seriously, I'm really good at real estate. He's a real estate agent. He's like, I don't even want to go into this conversation, right? It's horrible. But, hey, Izzy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How's your family?
They're good. We're surviving.
Family.
They're good. We're surviving.
Surviving? What do you mean? What's going to unpack that a little bit? What are you talking about surviving? What's going on?
I don't know. It's just we're feeling a little cramped.
Really?
Yeah. There's too many of us now. I've got 4 kids and only 2 bedrooms.
Did you see Gray? Gray's like, oh, Jesus Christ, 4 kids. The point is, you see the 2 different approaches. Which one feels more connected to the person and which one is just aggressive? You're going to buy this car, I'm going to hit you in the head with a wrench, right? And that's what we're looking for, okay? Allows for deeper exploration. She said where I think all of us have been stopping. I said, how's your family? And she said, oh, we're surviving. And most of us have been like, cool. I took the opportunity to go, oh, tell me about that. What's going on? What's happening in your life that you're only just surviving? What's going on with that? Hi, how are you?
How are you, sir?
Good. What can I do for you?
Janet available?
She should be in her office right there.
Appreciate that.
So that's how we want to unpack deeper exploration, find out more about what's going on in this person's life. So super important. And this will, honestly, if we talk about a hot list and a warm list, if you've got 100 people in your database and you've got about 20 of them on a warm list, that's where your deals are coming from the next 12 months. So it helps you build that pipeline. It helps keep business. It helps keep things going. And of course, as always, flow fixes everything. And that is what's important. And these questions will help you stay in flow with your client's life. And when we say in flow, I talk to these people. I know what's going on in their life. I know when their anniversaries are. I know when their birthdays are. I know when their kids are going to college. I know what college their kids are going to. This is those deep personal relationship thing that will truly make your real estate business start to come alive. So, because there's a lot of people in here, you guys are doing what I'm telling you to do. You're asking the Ford questions, but you're not digging deeper into their lives and looking for problems that you can solve. So if you're just asking that question and you're only asking one question, quite frankly, you're wasting your time. You have got to get into these conversations and you've got to really become very curious about their life, find out what's going on with them, and then ask a bunch of follow-on questions. Izzy answered my question. I found my next question in her response. She said, a lot of we're surviving. There's my next question. Surviving? Tell me more about that. What's going on? What's happening with you, girl? What's happening? What do you mean surviving? Right? And then she answers that question. Oh, hey, buddy. Hey, we've got 4 kids. We've got this going on. We're cramped. We have 4 children Gray didn't know about that we had to move in that come from a previous marriage that he knew nothing of. So now we've only got 3 bedrooms. And I'm like, oh, that's got to be hard. What are you guys going to do about that? What are you going to do about your room service? Man, I don't know. Well, I mean, sounds like you might need some more space. What does that look like for you? If you could wave a magic wand, love that question. If you could wave a magic wand and have your house what you need it to be, what does that look like? Well, we got 4 kids, so we need at least 5 bedrooms, and it'd be nice to have money's not an issue for us. Love that. So it'd be nice to have 6 bedrooms so we could have a guest bedroom, and I'd like to be a little bit closer to the school district that we like. Maybe get over in the Kellam High School district. I'd like to have them over there. Where are you at now? We're in Princess Anne, and so that's how you just start really unpacking that. You get them to answering questions that they didn't even know they needed to answer. Right? That magic wand question, guys. How many people use it? I mean, I know you do. Craig right there does. Hey, Craig, how are you, bud? It is so important to ask that question. Hey, if you could wave a magic wand, what would that look like? It helps them get rid of all of the things that hold them back. So what holds somebody back? Fear of the unknown. They don't know if they can afford it. They don't know about their mortgage. They don't know if any houses are available over there. How would that even look? Take all of that fear away from them. Say, hey, if you could wave a magic wand, what's your perfect house look like? You're going to get questions like, well, I'd like to live at Mar-a-Lago and own Donald Trump's house, or I would like to live over here. Yeah, that's funny, but no, seriously, what would that look like for you? And then they get serious, and they go, well, honestly, house is a little dated. I don't want to live through a remodel. If we could find a new construction house or build something like that, that'd be really nice. And then you create a buyer, right? What you say to them is, hey, why don't I send you over some properties that kind of match your magic wand so you can look at them. Like, we're not ready to move. Yeah, you don't need to move, but it never hurts to look. So what we did was we've taken them from interest to curiosity, and we moved from curiosity to commitment. That process might take a while, and that's fine, but you're truly helping them solve the problem that they have. Right? Sometimes people need to be led down the path to solve their own problems. You've got to help them get out of their own way. Right? And that's how we do that. Questions on any of this, or how we really go through and really have those live interviews, and how we use those 4 topics simply to start the conversation. Once you get the conversation started, you got to keep that flow going by asking follow-on questions, listening to their answers, genuinely listen to understand. Don't listen to respond, okay? Listen to understand what they're saying and then ask questions about that. When she said they're surviving, what I heard is we're having a hard time in our life. Things are stressful right now. We're under stress. Those things are a problem. So that is a motivation of pain. That's a pain point, not a pleasure point. People move away from pain and towards pleasure, right? So her pain point is she's in a cramped house. Her pleasure point is that she would like to be in a bigger house, right? So we just need to help her move away from that pain of being in that cramped house to move towards the pleasure of being in a much larger home. Does that make sense? All right, guys, that is all I have for you today. Anybody have any questions on anything we've talked about so far? And these are just casual conversation things. Nobody? Anybody? Bueller? Anybody get the Bueller reference? Yeah. Okay, good. I thought I was on my own. All right, guys. As always, please enjoy and get out there and sell a house. Go team.